I'm sorry. It's gotten to the point where Rookie of the Year is over 2-3 weeks ago. All of a sudden, Caitlin Clark is starting to push A'ja Wilson for MVP of this league, and I am not exaggerating.
A'ja Wilson is ranked first in the WNBA's 2024 MVP polls, followed by Nafisa Collier in second, Sabrina Ionescu in third, Breanna Stewart in fourth, and Alyssa Thomas in fifth. They also included Caitlin Clark among the honorable mentions.
This is a phenomenon. Caitlin Clark is a phenomenon. And if I said to any of these people who think Caitlin Clark is not the Rookie of the Year, I'd say, who would you want to start your franchise with? Now, I'm not going to put A'ja Wilson in there. I'm just saying between these two. Angel Reese is a wonderful player, but she does not compare to what and who Caitlin Clark is.
I made a video about it a little while ago, and I got a lot of angry comments on Instagram because I said Caitlin Clark should be in the running for MVP.
Caitlin Clark, I'm sure you saw, just became the all-time scoring leader in women's college basketball. I'm curious, where would you rank her amongst all-time college players, in your opinion?
Ooh, that's tough because you got to win one. I feel like that college is one of those spaces where you got to win one for them to even have your name in the conversation. And it took me 3 years to win mine, so it's hard. But congratulations to her.
But before I give my take, let's look at the official WNBA MVP ladder. A'ja Wilson is one, and everyone's been saying all season that she's the clear winner.
2 years ago, their home attendance was 1,800 fans. Their average this year, home attendance, is 17,000. That's almost 10 times. And, of course, the big difference is Caitlin Clark. I think she should be up for MVP. Rookie of the Year, foregone conclusion.
If you even bring up MVP, you have to start by saying, well, A'ja Wilson is winning for sure. You can't really discuss it at all without saying, A'ja will get it. And just for the record, Caitlin isn't much of a defender either. Though she can, and she will steal the basketball. She's 15th in the WNBA and steals pretty good. I think that's a little weird. I feel like we should be able to talk about it freely. She is starting to push A'ja as the best player in the league because I don't see anybody control a game the way Caitlin can. I'm a big A'ja Wilson fan. I even dressed up in her colors today. But in my opinion, Nafisa Collier should be higher than second place. She's been one of my favorites this year. I've got the fever. I can't help it. I can't stop watching. I can't stop talking about the impact Caitlin Clark is having on game after game after game after game. The Minnesota Lynx have a good shot at making the finals, and Nafisa can just take over games whenever she wants. We've seen her do it a lot. She's kind of like a secret weapon. She doesn't show off or argue with the refs. She's pretty quiet, which is maybe why she flies under the radar a bit, but she's amazing. Sabrina Ionescu is third. And while she's always solid, I don't think she deserves to be ranked that high for MVP. I'd put Breanna Stewart ahead of her since she's also on Liberty, but I get why they might want two Liberty players in the top 5, and Alyssa Thomas at 5th. No way. She shouldn't be that high up. They won back-to-back championships. Yeah, back-to-back championships. Here comes this girl is doing something different than what she's doing. She don't have none of the pieces that she has. That makes it easier for her to do her job. A'ja can do her job with no pressure. And she can have an off night and it still has pieces. Caitlin Clark has received an honorable mention in the MVP rankings. Here's what they said about her. Despite the Indiana Fever having a rough start to the season, they have turned things around with a 1-4-6 record in their last 20 games, including 2 big wins after the All-Star break. They look like a completely different team. She looks like a completely different player. They look like a completely different team because she did the work during the All-Star break. They hurt. Caitlin said, I don't want to do none of that. I'm going to the lab. I need to fix what's going on here. And now we see the difference. She's like, no, I'm going to chase that MVP because ain't nobody for me. Well, there is also, I would say, there's the playoffs. Her team, 2006-2016. Clark has developed great chemistry with her teammates and has been impressive as both a playmaker and scorer. She's 41% from the field, 33% from 3, 89%. No way MVP. No, not MVP. No, I'm just not right now. No, by the time the end of the season, for sure. She's going to unanimously win it. She's close to making the first team All-WNBA and could finish in the top 5 for MVP voting. The only reason why I don't want to unanimously give it to her. No, I'm not saying Candace Parker got it, right? But was Candace Parker on a great team? She got it regardless. The only thing that will benefit Clark is if, let's say there's 12 games left, they're third right now, their team. They're seventh. And somehow they go, let's say 10-2. and she's averaging about 24 and something. They will be pushing as an MVP. Personally, I believe she's already in that top 3 alongside A'ja Wilson and Nafisa Collier. When we compare their stats, A'ja Wilson clearly stands out. She excels in almost every category except assists, three-point shooting, and free throw percentage where Caitlin shines. She takes over. She maestros. She controls game after game after game with her passing and her carefully chosen spots to score. Caitlin is also tied for steals with Nafisa. Watching A'ja dominate on the court shows just how talented she is. I think everyone can agree on that if they've seen her play. But does that make her a better overall player than Caitlin and Nafisa right now? One thing Caitlin Clark does maybe better than anybody in sports right now and makes it about others, makes it about team. Think about it. When's the last time you didn't see Caitlin Clark talking about a teammate? When's the last time you saw Caitlin Clark talking about herself or any of the accomplishments that she has had? Let me give you the answer to that. Never, never. You never hear that. Now that's why their team has gotten good. She could have been an egomaniac. Everybody in the league knows that she is the league right now. Yes, I think she is. However, when it comes to how valuable she is to her team compared to Caitlin and Nafisa, that's where things get tricky and we can start discussing it. Not even a debate. But I'm talking about value now. Value to a franchise, value to a league, getting your team in the playoffs. They had the number 1 pick. They were the worst team last year, and there is value that I can attach to that. Now, that might not fit in the categories that everybody would consider for MVP. I'm talking about value. Michael Jordan was the most valuable player. The MVP award is subjective. And it's tough to determine based solely on statistics. We saw this in the NBA when Nikola Jokic won 3 consecutive MVPs, but Shaquille O'Neal argued that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander deserved one of those awards instead. When comparing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic, it's clear that Jokic's stats weren't superior to either Shai's or Luka's. If we look purely at the numbers, Luka would have been the MVP. However, the Oklahoma City Thunder ended up as the top seed unexpectedly, which adds many factors to consider. Take Russell Westbrook's MVP season, for example. He won largely due to his incredible number of triple-doubles, even though his team didn't get past the first round. There are so many interpretations of what the MVP award means. So when I hear analysts say it's A'ja Wilson, no question I find that a bit unfair. There are solid arguments for Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier, and even Breanna Stewart deserves some consideration because of how well the Liberty have played this season. But also, she needed a rest. She needed a rest after the season in college basketball. A month later, she's playing games and she's playing against really good teams. And then they stacked the schedule up front so everybody got to see her play. She struggled. Now, let's focus on Caitlin Clark for a moment. I previously made a video discussing Candace Parker's remarkable achievement of winning both Rookie of the Year and MVP in her first WNBA season, and whether Caitlin could follow in her footstep. Just shoot it in the fourth quarter. You're that good. You've proven to be that great. Her three-point shooting has heated up, and nobody in the league can flick logo threes as effortlessly as Caitlin can. What does Caitlin need to do? Looking back at Candace Parker's stats from 2008, she averaged 18.5 points per game. Caitlin is currently scoring more than that. While Candace had significantly more rebounds, Caitlin is ahead in assists, steals, three-pointers made per game, and free throw percentage. Caitlin Clark, in a shock to me, has proven already to be a once-a-generation passer. I did not see that coming at Iowa. I thought scoring, yes, she's the all-time greatest scorer in the history of college basketball, men's or women's, but passing like this. I'm talking about gifted LeBron-esque bounce passing. Plus, Candace played as a forward while Caitlin is a point guard, making their roles different. Caitlin is putting up numbers that are comparable to, or even better than what Candace did as a rookie. However, it's important to note that there wasn't an A'ja Wilson in 2008 putting up impressive stats like today. Meanwhile, Caitlin, two-thirds of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace, the likes of which I have never witnessed. It's almost like she was trying to turn the basketball over. That's no accident. It's the Clark effect. She's not just posting MVP-level numbers. She's elevating her entire team to new heights. Caitlin Clark is running away with the WNBA assist lead. She's 25 better than anybody else in the league. It's pretty extraordinary for a rookie. The expectations for Caitlin seem to keep shifting. It feels like the more she excels, the higher they raise the bar for what she needs to achieve just to be considered among the top players. She's having impact on her team that nobody else in the league is having on her team. This is a team that went 13-27 last year. And suddenly the Indiana Fever are the hottest team by far in the league. If Caitlin isn't included in the top 5 MVP candidates, it would be a huge disappointment and would seem like an effort to downplay her success rather than celebrate it. She definitely deserves a spot on that ballot. WNBA, I'm talking players, coaches, and refs. They're all a bunch of Caitlin Clark haters. They're all a bunch of jealous haters. They're just working themselves up about Caitlin Clark just to hate on her. Skylar Diggins is bumping her. There are girls complaining on the bench. Referees are getting into it now. They're all a bunch of haters. When we discuss who is most valuable this season, it's important to recognize that the Aces have an incredibly talented roster. They have 4 players who were part of Team USA. In contrast, the Minnesota Lynx don't have that level of star power, and the Fever didn't have any Team USA players last season, finishing as the worst team in the WNBA. I'm pretty sure that she's going to be good. The league is going to enjoy her. We're going to enjoy her, obviously, as competitors and teammates or whatever you may say. But no, it's going to be huge for her to make that jump, all of them. I mean, it's going to be a great time for them to transition like we all did since the Olympic break. Caitlin Clark has been on fire, averaging over 25 points per game. She's not only improved her own game, but has also helped her teammates play better, leading to more wins. I see Nneka doing something similar for her team. When she's off the court, the Lynx just aren't the same. So when we talk about most valuable, I think both Caitlin and Nneka have a stronger case than A'ja does for the Aces. The Indiana Fever have responded in a big way since the Olympic break. Take a look at this. These are the top 3 scorers in the WNBA since the women brought home gold in the Olympics a few weeks ago. 2 of the members are of the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. But we are missing a big piece to this all-star puzzle. Literally, Aaliyah Boston has taken a step forward in her game, and she has built a special chemistry with their star rookies. Right now, A'ja is out with an injury, which doesn't seem too serious, and I really hope she returns soon, especially for the games against the Fever. Caitlin Clark may not win titles. Las Vegas is still a great team. But the fact that she is doing what she's doing and at a very high level, it's now commonplace where she'll go for 26 and 12. I mean, those are great numbers for any player, no matter how long you've been in the league. The Aces played against the Liberty recently and kept it close until the end. Kelsey Plum really stepped up in that game, which shows how valuable other players can be too. She's learned how to play the game, and she said, I had to learn how to play the WNBA way. A'ja Wilson is definitely crucial to her team, but there are other key players who can also lead and take control of a game. I kind of set this on Complex one time. It was just a huge thing of, I think she's going to be good. I think she's going to be someone that's going to be huge for the franchise that she gets drafted to. And I just hope that franchise builds around her so she can continue to grow. And I hope the same fans that are writing for her now continue to help her and carry her and follow her into the W, because that's where the growth happens. Anyone can talk now, but it's like, all right, next step. Are you still there? Are you still a true fan? Another point about Caitlin that highlights her value is that she's leading the WNBA in points generated. This includes both points scored and those assisted on. Despite averaging 18.7 points and leading the WNBA in an assist at 8.4, Clark hasn't come close to peak performance yet. A victim mentality would prevent her from making the necessary improvements. Her fans could give her that mentality if they continue to cry about things that don't really matter and shield Clark from objective criticism. She's ahead by a large margin, and she's doing this as a rookie on a Fever team that isn't filled with all-stars. And I said, second half of the season, look out. And that's exactly what's happened for her and her backcourt mate, Kelsey Mitchell. She's wonderful, too. This brings up an interesting question about how we define MVP. Should it go to the most skilled player in the league right now, which would certainly be A'ja, or should it focus on who has the most impact on their team? This is a debate we'll likely continue.